Welcome to Weather 101. I'm Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams. Well, for today, we want to talk a little bit more detail of a lot of the advisories and warnings and watches that we usually issue as it pertains to the winds, the difference between gale winds versus, let's say, small craft advisories, because you hear us talk about small craft advisories a lot. So we want to take a look at that just for a brief moment. Now, here's an example of a gale wind warning that was activated for us during one of the weeks in December. And so when you talk about a gale wind warning, we're concerned about what's happening off of the coast, and that's mainly over the water for the most part. And also, when we have gale wind warnings, we can also have them in the form of gale wind warnings, or we can have, like this, a gale wind watch. Both of them are gale winds, and we're concerned about very strong winds, generally speaking. And both are of great concern because it deals with winds that can cause problems with small boats and vessels and all that, but also it can possibly lean into causing problems with beach erosion and stuff like that. But the big difference is, what's the difference between gale winds versus, let's say, a small craft advisory, which we have a lot of those small craft advisories. So what's the difference? A small craft advisory, we're looking at gusty winds, very similar, high seas, icy seas in some cases, so small boats and inexperienced boaters are to beware. That's what a small craft advisory is pertaining to. Then we have a gale wind warning. Now, this is when winds are between 39 to possibly 54 miles per hour. This is hazardous for anyone in any vessel whatsoever, and it is dangerous to all boaters, whether you have a medium, large size vessel, and definitely not a small craft at all. And so this is the main difference that we're talking about. This is dealing with the delineation between the strength of what's happening between both of these actual advisories and warnings and such. So please keep in mind that gale wind warnings and watches are more serious than small craft advisories, but the small craft advisory still dealing with very gusty winds, high seas, and small boats and inexperienced boaters can be victimized by these winds very easily. So it's not something that you should just, chump off as a minor situation. Out in that water, everything's major, particularly when it deals with that wind. I'm Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams with your Weather 101.